Dealt with NBA YoungBoy.
Yeah.
And it only lasted for 3 days. You know, he ended up telling his manager he ain't like my vibes, but I ain't like his vibes either. You know, I told him I never worked for a kid before. You know what I mean? Because I run with the gang.
So that young boy, he like worldwide, gang. Like he got a real big fan base. And no matter where he go, like he just gonna have it that wherever he at. You see what I'm saying? But on the other hand, it was like, bro, I wasn't even tripping like about the show shit. It was just about the person he was bringing with him.
I'm YoungBoy.
YoungBoy.
NBA YoungBoy.
Okay.
What happens when someone pretending to be a street legend finally bumps into a person who's actually lived that life? NBA YoungBoy's own bodyguard just put him on blast in a way nobody saw coming. This man straight up told YoungBoy to his face that he's acting like a creative player fan, not a real stepper. And the things he exposed are wild enough to make the whole internet freeze. YoungBoy been carrying himself online like he's the toughest one breathing. But behind the scenes, his own people scared to even blink wrong around him. One of his guys literally ties his shoes and holds umbrellas like he's his assistant, saying things like, "I don't care if his shoes come untied, bro. I'm gonna tie that. I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to make this how it's supposed to be." That energy had everybody side-eyeing the situation, but everything flipped when someone real stepped into the room. As soon as true street experience showed up, the vibe changed fast. Like the temperature dropped 10 degrees and nobody knew where to look. This is where things started heating up because that security guard wasn't scared, wasn't impressed, and definitely wasn't playing with YoungBoy's tough guy act. Stay locked in, because the way this whole situation almost went left is unbelievable. YoungBoy's image started cracking right in front of the people around him, and the person who exposed him wasn't some random blogger. It was someone who's actually walked the walk and lived a whole different kind of life. Let me lay it out clear so you can see what really happened between NBA YoungBoy and his security situation, because this story is cooked beyond belief. We talking about someone who built his whole reputation off looking dangerous on camera, but the moment someone with real credentials walked inside, the whole act fell apart like it was made out of paper. So here's how it kicked off. NBA YoungBoy hired this security guard named Samson, a dude with real experience, real presence, and dreadlocks down his shoulders. And from the moment he stepped in, he saw straight through the whole performance. Samson wasn't starstruck, wasn't scared, and definitely wasn't fooled by anyone pretending to be something they're not. And this wasn't some regular bodyguard strolling in for a paycheck. This man came straight out the Virgin Islands with real mileage on him. He wasn't just around the streets, he lived in them. Dread got hit 11 times before he even touched American soil. So when people say he's seen action, they're not exaggerating. He survived situations most folks wouldn't even believe existed. 13 years in the security game, moving with major names like Moneybag Yo, Megan Thee Stallion, Sexy Red. He's been around the real ones, the loud ones, the flashy ones, and the dangerous ones. This man knows exactly how to read somebody the moment they walk in. He can spot a real street soul from a mile away, and he can smell a fake even faster. And this is where everything turns spicy. Because the moment Dread linked up with YoungBoy for the first time, he felt something was off immediately. Real recognized real, and Dread wasn't recognizing anything coming from YB. In his own words, he said, "I didn't like his vibes either." Then YoungBoy's manager tried to flip it, saying YB didn't like Dread's energy. But that didn't shake Dread at all. Here's the part that made the whole room tilt. Dread looked YoungBoy straight in his face and told him, "I never worked for a kid before." He called him a kid, with no hesitation, no fear, no trying to soften the blow. Just straight up honesty. Imagine that. Someone who's supposed to be seen as this heavy, serious street figure from Louisiana getting checked like a little dude by his own security guard.
You know, I told him I never worked for a kid before. You know what I mean?
And what did YoungBoy do? Nothing. Not a word, not a step, not a reaction. But here's where it gets even more messy. Let's talk about how YoungBoy actually moves when he thinks nobody's paying attention. Because this man got some serious anger issues. And that's not even meant as a joke. The behind-the-scenes energy is completely different from the show he puts on for the internet. His own homies move around him like they're stepping on broken glass every single day because they know one wrong move and they're getting cut off instantly. These grown men stay terrified of upsetting him because if YB gets in his feelings, he'll send them right back to the same neighborhoods they fought to escape, pockets empty and no support at all. The level of control this man holds over his circle is straight up unsettling. You got NBA Herm, one of his closest people, literally tying YoungBoy's shoes like he's his personal assistant. A grown man on his knees, tying another grown man's laces, then holding umbrellas over his head like he's some kind of ruler or celebrity royalty. That's not friendship. That's strange power play behavior. But the manipulation goes way deeper than somebody tying shoes. When you look close, it's clear YoungBoy built an environment where his friends are completely dependent on him. Financially, emotionally, and even socially. They can't voice anything, can't disagree, and they definitely can't call him out on anything. That's classic controlling tactics, not leadership, not boss moves, nothing like that. DJ Academics even spoke on this. When he visited YoungBoy's house, he said he witnessed YB slapping his own friends in front of guests just for acting out of line. These are supposed to be his long-term day ones, people he trusts, but he's treating them like they're kids instead of grown men. That's not strength, that's insecurity. That's someone trying to feel powerful because deep down, they know they're not who they pretend to be. And the rumors, they get even wilder. Word on the street is YoungBoy has a habit of starving his homies when they upset him, almost like he's running some twisted punishment system. The idea alone is outrageous, especially coming from someone who portrays himself as a loyal leader who loves his people. This whole setup shows something deeper, not real unity, not real brotherhood, but a circle stuck in a psychological trap. These aren't teammates. They're people scared to breathe wrong around someone who wants control more than he wants respect. Lil Dump once posted a picture with a busted, bloody lip, and the internet instantly lit up with people saying YB must have done it for not listening. Whether that rumor is real or not, the fact that folks automatically assume YoungBoy would do something like that shows exactly what kind of reputation he carries behind closed doors. That kind of assumption doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes from patterns people think they've already seen. But to really understand why Samson Dread's words hit so hard, you gotta know where this man came from. He didn't grow up in some regular neighborhood where you can dip out when things get messy. He grew up in the Virgin Islands, a place where the street politics operate on a whole different frequency. Out there, you can't hop to the next city when things heat up. You handle your situation or you don't make it. Simple. Dread even broke down the whole security world. He said there are 3 types of guards: street guys, military guys, and off-duty cops. They all bring something to the table, but he made it clear that street guys like him move differently. When you've actually lived through shootouts, mistakes that could cost your life, and real territorial tension, you develop an instinct that can't be bought, trained, or faked. You start reading people the second you walk in the room, and your radar is sharp. So when Samson Dread met YoungBoy, the difference between real and pretend became loud and obvious. This man spent years working with true bosses, people who didn't have to shout, act tough, or intimidate their own friends to prove anything. He even said his father was a real boss back in the island, so he grew up around authentic power, not online personas. He said, a lot of these rappers talk that stuff, but they ain't about that stuff. And it was clear he was aiming that statement right at YB. That contrast gets even heavier when you hear how he describes other artists he's worked with. Take Moneybagg Yo, for example. Dread said Moneybagg was solid, respectful, real, and somebody he would work with again any day. That's the type of energy real ones give off. Calm, grounded, confident, not loud, controlling, or unpredictable. That's the thing about being real. Authentic people naturally gravitate toward each other. When you're solid, other solid folks pick up on that immediately and want to work with you. Even with Sexy Red, who some people assume might be hard to deal with, Dread showed nothing but respect. He said she was humble, locked in, and handled business without any drama. She's entertaining for the cameras, but she knows how to switch it off when the spotlight fades. That's confidence, not chaos. Megan Thee Stallion got the same type of praise. Dread said she's all about business. Showtime, then right back to the hotel. No games, no ego trips, no dragging security into random errands just to feel important. Everything clean, professional, and respectful. That's how real bosses operate. They don't need to flex their power on the people protecting them. These artists understand security is a business relationship, not a chance to treat someone like a personal assistant. That's why working with them feels smooth. No weird power dynamics, no unnecessary pressure, no childish behavior. But the situation with YoungBoy, that barely lasted 3 days before his team told Dread they didn't like his vibes, and Dread wasn't bothered for even a second. He said it helped him realize he should stick with higher quality clients and know exactly what kind of environment he's agreeing to walk into. That's real boss energy. not chasing a check from someone acting like something they're not.
And it only lasted for 3 days. You know, he ended up telling his manager he ain't like my vibes, but I ain't like his vibes either.
And the wild part, the whole thing only made Dread handle his business even better moving forward. After dealing with YoungBoy's camp, he became way more selective about the artists he works with. He understood that not every job is worth the headache, especially when a client is more focused on pretending than being professional. Real professionals protect their standards the same way they protect their clients. They don't compromise them for anyone. Dread also dropped some heavy insight about the security game that a lot of people don't even know. He explained how some artists will run security into the ground, calling them from sunrise to late night, dragging them to gym sessions, mall runs, barbershops, dinner spots, studio sessions, club appearances, all packed into a single day. It's non-stop movement, non-stop pressure, and non-stop nonsense when the client doesn't respect the job. Then after all that running around, these artists still want to pay security like they only worked a couple hours. That's not business. That's straight exploitation. Dread broke it down clearly. Bodyguards deserve six-figure checks because they're literally risking their lives every single day. When you're responsible for keeping someone safe, you're taking on a level of danger and liability most people don't even understand. But fake bosses, they'll try to save money while demanding top-level protection. They want loyalty, bravery, discipline, and sacrifice. But they don't want to pay for it. That right there separates the real leaders from the pretenders. Dread also shares something powerful about respect and how true street men move. He said that in the islands, real ones defend the weak against the strong. They don't prey on people who can't fight back. And that was a direct shot at how YoungBoy treats the people around him. Real gangsters don't need to bully their friends to feel in control. They earn respect through loyalty, integrity, and how they carry themselves, not by intimidating their own crew. That philosophy explains why Dread wasn't scared of YoungBoy's attitude for even a second. When you've protected real innocent people from serious threats, watching someone flex on their own homies doesn't look tough. It looks sad. Dread has probably stood next to real killers, real bosses, real survivors, and many of them were more respectful and humble than YB. That's what made YoungBoy's reaction so telling. Because the moment someone walked into the room who wasn't impressed by the fame, the yelling, or the image, things got uncomfortable fast. YoungBoy is used to people being scared of him, tiptoeing around him, trying not to upset him. So when Dread showed up and didn't flinch, it threw the whole energy off. Dread wasn't impressed by the money, wasn't impressed by the fame, and definitely wasn't impressed by the internet tough persona. He'd seen real street credibility up close, and YoungBoy wasn't matching that at all. And the age factor, that played a big part in the tension too. When Dread said he never worked for a kid before, he wasn't just talking about YoungBoy's actual age. He was talking about his maturity, his emotional control, and how he handles conflict. Real street veterans know that emotional discipline is life or death out there. If you're constantly snapping, acting impulsive, and letting ego run your decisions, you don't last long in any dangerous environment. That's why Dread didn't fall for the act. He's been around real danger, and he knows what true strength looks like. This whole situation shines a bright spotlight on the difference between internet gangsters and real street men. YoungBoy built his entire image on being this untouchable, dangerous figure, someone nobody should test. But the moment someone with real-life experience stepped into the room, the mask started slipping fast. His whole vibe changed because he wasn't used to standing next to someone who actually lived the things he only raps about. And the psychology behind all this is wild too. YoungBoy's habit of controlling and intimidating the people around him doesn't come from power. It comes from insecurity. When someone deep down knows they're not really built like that, they start overcompensating. They get extra loud, extra aggressive, and start flexing on the people who can't defend themselves. That's classic bully energy, dressed up as street toughness. Real ones don't need to act like that. Real ones stay calm, they stay grounded, and they don't have to disrespect the people closest to them just to feel strong. That's why Dread didn't buy the tough guy act for a second. He's been around true danger, true bosses, and true survivors, and he could see the difference instantly. And here's the bottom line. This entire situation with Samson Dread laid everything out clear as day. YoungBoy is a talented artist, no doubt, but he's also dealing with serious anger problems and relies on fear and money to keep the people around him in line. The moment someone with real street credentials walked in, the whole fake persona couldn't hold up under real pressure. The truth got exposed, not by rumors, not by fans, but by someone who knows what authentic power looks like. and YoungBoy's energy didn't match it. Dread saw straight through the whole performance and wasn't scared to call it out, and that's exactly why the working relationship got cut short. The way YB treats his own circle, the power trips, the need to control everything, the way he tries to physically dominate people who depend on him financially, none of that looks like real boss energy. That looks like insecurity wrapped in fake toughness. Real street men don't have to bully their friends or perform for the internet to feel important. They lead with loyalty, they move with respect, and they don't tear down the people standing next to them. Samson Dread walked away from all that mess with his dignity fully intact, while YoungBoy ended up losing credibility with someone who's actually lived the real street life he raps about. Sometimes the truth hits hard, but it still needs to be said. NBA YoungBoy might be winning in music, but when it comes to being authentic about that lifestyle he talks about, he got exposed by someone who doesn't need to brag to prove anything. That's just real talk, no extra, no exaggeration. And the moral here is simple. You can fool fans, fool the media, and maybe even trick yourself for a while. But the moment real recognizes real, all that pretend energy gets exposed instantly. YoungBoy learned that lesson the tough way, and hopefully people watching can see the difference between entertainment and authenticity. Now before you dip out, listen up, because we're just getting started. If you're rocking with this breakdown, make sure you smash that like button, turn on your notifications, and subscribe to Rap Uncovered, because the streets never sleep and neither do we. We drop heat every single day, and tomorrow's upload is about to be even crazier, even deeper, and absolutely unmissable. Share this video with your homeboys. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and pull up tomorrow for another wild story the industry doesn't want you to hear. We'll catch you in the next one, right here at Rap Uncovered, where the truth of the streets lives.
Yeah.